We are live on Goaldigger. I am Cate Luzio, founder and CEO. This is our weekly series about women, founders, business leaders, also men, finding and using their voice. And today I'm really excited. One, because I love her products and everything that she sells, but two, because she is an incredible founder, and she and I had an opportunity last night to connect and hear more. So I'm excited for this conversation with Terry Johnson, founder of Harlem Candle Company. And if you don't know Harlem Candle Company yet, you should, and you will. These are just an incredible line of products, not just candles. So welcome, Terry.
Thank you so much for having me. Hi, everyone.
So we're going to start off in the short amount of time we have. I wanted to kind of go back and talk a little bit about your story and what led you to starting this company and really building this brand that's going to take over the world by storm. I just know it.
Yeah, so I have always been obsessed with scented candles and fragrance and just beautiful scents since I was a child. I actually used to make my own perfume in the bathroom when I was a kid. I would just find all these things around the house, or flowers, or even just, spices and things and I would just make my perfume, and it would be nice for like a day, and then it would rot. But I love beautiful fragrances, and I met a chemist who had created perfume fragrance oils for different candle companies back in 2014. And I asked him if he could make some fragrance oils for me, because I wanted to make candles for my friends and family for Christmas. And I made about 50 candles in my kitchen, and I had so much fun doing it. I love the process of creating and figuring out how I'm going to name this candle and how I'm going to package it. And so I created La Maison des Bougies de Terry, Terry's House of Candles. And I printed the labels on my printer. I broke my printer trying to do this, but I wanted to make it so fancy with gold. And that was kind of the beginning of my candle making journey. I gifted these candles. The reception was so wonderful. And I was looking for something else to do, another way to make money, because at the time I was working as a travel and lifestyle expert, and I was working on really super cool projects with the Travel Channel as a host, and writing a bunch of content, creating a bunch of branded content for different brands like Toyota and Honda and Ford and different hotel chains, but it really wasn't enough. I wasn't making enough money. The projects would, they were here and there, but it wasn't enough to really, for me, to have a sustainable sort of career doing that, where I felt like I could really make a lot of money. So I decided to take this other passion and see, could this be a real viable business? And I realized that I was onto something. So I started making these candles in my Harlem kitchen, and knew that I needed to come up with a different name. La Maison des Bougies de Terry wasn't going to work. So it wasn't going to work. So I decided to call it the Harlem Candle Company. I researched. Domain was wide open. There was no trademark. And I said, yeah, I'm going to create the Harlem Candle Company. I'll have these scents inspired by Harlem Renaissance figures like Billie Holiday, this picture here, Josephine Baker, Duke Ellington, all those super iconic people and those places that make Harlem so great, that have also been very inspirational to me as a woman and as a business owner. So that's kind of how I got here.
So was there I love this story, and it's so inspirational for lots of reasons, right? You saw something that you were passionate about and said, I'm going to do this. You also saw something that you were like, I've got to actually make money. So how do we do it better, right? Was there any the Harlem component, right? And you and I talked about this, and I have a house in Harlem, and I haven't lived there in the last couple of years, but and it's such an inspirational and unique part of New York. People actually used to ask me when I was living in the house, "Oh, I'm coming to New York." I'm like, "Great, we can stay in my house in Harlem." And they'd say, "Yeah, but I need to go to the city." Like, no, Harlem is in the city. What's the connection to Harlem and for you, the personal kind of, and the name and what that means?
Yeah, so I'm originally from Houston, Texas. And when I moved to New York, I actually wanted to live in Brooklyn because that's where all my friends were moving, and they were living in Fort Greene and Park Slope and all these really cool areas that I had seen, and I had stayed with them. And so I wanted to live in Brooklyn, but at the time it just was a little bit out of my price range, and because I didn't want a roommate. I wanted to live by myself. So they said, well, Harlem's the next Brooklyn. And I said, okay, in terms of real estate, in terms of just the development and things really changing and being able to find really nice places. So I chose Harlem. And this was the first time I'd ever lived in a place where I felt such a sense of community.
Yeah.
Where, you're walking down the street and people say, hello, have a good day. I like your outfit. I was like, oh, this is so nice. Where you recognize the crossing guards and you say hello. And it just felt like such a community, even though we are right here in New York City. And I just fell in love with it. And the more and more friends that I would have come visit, and I would love to show them my Harlem, because it's so diverse. There's so many, there's a West African community, and you can get all this wonderful Senegalese food, and you can get great Ethiopian food and Italian food and Mexican food and Thai food. And so we just have so much here.
There's a huge French community as well. Yeah, no, I love that community. I remember when I was moving back to New York after 7 years in London, and I moved to Harlem, and I had never lived in New York City before, even though I'm from the New Jersey area, and I chose Harlem. And it was really that community, even just walking around, going to the local grocery, going to the local hardware store, walking to get coffee. People are friendly. They want to know you. They want you to feel welcome. And I love that sense of community. And I think that's one of the reasons when I first got one of your candles that was a gift by another amazing connector, Samantha Dong, who's a Luminary member and the founder of Ally Shoes. Right before Christmas, she gave me a Harlem candle, and I opened it and I fell in love. And I fell in love with the packaging and the branding and the scent, but just the uniqueness of it. And that once then I kind of looked into you and the story of her, it was like, that's what people want. They want to fall in love with a brand, not just because of the product, but because what it stands for and what's behind it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And, it gives me so much pride to be able to create this, that I feel like I was chosen to create the Harlem Candle Company. I'll tell you a funny story. Maybe about a year after I had already started the business, and I was still making them in my kitchen.
Yeah.
Because I started out just selling at pop-ups. So I sold at a lot of pop-ups and like these sort of artisanal markets. And I did a lot of pop-ups at WeWork to just help get the brand out there. And I found a picture of my grandfather and Duke Ellington. And I have a candle inspired by Duke Ellington. No one in the family even knew this picture existed. Yeah, and I found this picture on my mother's side of the family is from Florida. And so in the Florida State Archives, my grandfather was being honored after his death. He was being honored for the work he did in civil rights. And so I was just kind of obsessed with this website and like learning so much more about my family history that I didn't know. And I found this picture of my grandfather and Duke Ellington. And that was the sign that made me say, this is what I should be doing.
That's unbelievable.
And he's not a musician. It's not like my grandfather is a musician. He was a professor and a high school principal. And yeah.
Well, that's such a unique tie, right, to creating this brand. There's a couple of questions in the chat that I want to get to, but before that, I want to get to my questions. So you have created a physical product, right? Mm-hmm. And one of the questions is around that market. Yes, hold up your candle. They're so beautiful. I was realizing like I have the mugs and I'm drinking out of my mug. I need to pour my coffee. Exactly.
Oh, I drink out of mugs all the time.
They're beautiful. And by the way, they hold at least 14 ounces. My boyfriend loves that part. It holds a lot. Yes. Look at this packaging. It's just amazing, Terry.
Thank you.
But it takes a lot. I know everything is just from start to finish, it's incredible, the attention to detail. But you're creating a physical product, right? So how, and we talked about this last night, there's a funding component, right? So how did you start funding this? Or financing it? Everyone always thinks everyone has to raise a bunch of money. How did you go about building the company to where it is today?
Yeah, so when I first started, I was buying glass, and I would buy enough glass to make, let's say, 50 candles or 100 candles. And now when I first started, the product does not look anything like it does now. I was using these square sort of Libby jars that were more like a cube, and printing labels on my printer. So it wasn't like, gold foiled, embossed. It was not that. It was craft boxes. And I would put my own little ribbon, and so I've come a long way. But I started out, I had, enough money. I would say probably my initial investment was maybe $1,000 or $1,200 or so dollars, just buying glass, wax, pour pots, fragrance, all of those things, components.
Yeah.
And then once you package it and sell it, then you're making a little money. I just constantly reinvested into the business. Yeah, and there was no funding. I did receive the money that was allocated for my wedding, because I guess at a certain point they're like, I think you need this money for your business. Yes, I do. Thank you. Give it to me. And I wouldn't take that money and spend it on a wedding anyway.
Right. You're like, this is going into what I'm building, right? And I think people there's sort of a myth out there around reinvesting in your business, right? What does that actually mean? And so when you think about how the profits that you're making, you're reinvesting them into continuing to build the business, new product lines, not that it needs better packaging, but all those innovations in the actual product. And you don't just do candles. This is what I love. So I get my candle as a gift. I know I should be having everything that I bought.
We also have reed diffusers.
You have the snuffer, which I love. You have you have these amazing matches, right? So people would think matches. I love them. Yes, the snuff, yes. And then you have the mugs that you just showed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Look at these matches.
And room sprays. Yeah. So my idea was to always go beyond candles. Candles was just where we're starting. But, I see the brand moving into even a more like home decor space. Yeah. Oh, so we have some new, we have some new stuff coming out that's, I think people are I think they're going to go crazy for. I'm excited. They'll launch in around April.
Amazing. Well, we've got your social up on there so people can start, if they're not following you already or shopping from you, they better. But when and I went through this, right? So this is a good problem to have when you're sold out, right? Because there's so much demand. How are you thinking about going forward? Because as the brand gets bigger, and now you have a lot of different distribution channels. Can you talk about those distribution channels?
Yeah, so we are in bloomingdales.com, and the store on 59th Street. We are in a bunch of Macy's stores. We did kind of a special sort of curated, they have what's called Story, and so we're part of their Story. This is 8th Avenue. I hope you...
Hey, yeah, it's New York.
New York City.
I'm in New York too.
Yeah, and then we are launching in Nordstrom later this year. And then, of course, online, harlemcandlecompany.com. And we work with a bunch of small boutiques. So gift stores, floral shops, and we wholesale there.
And from because you have these different distribution methods, right, which I think minimizes your risk in a sense. Before you launched and you had these opportunities with Nordstrom's and Bloomingdale's, et cetera, how were you selling them? Were you doing farmers markets and different events to get the word out?
Oh yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of pop-up. Cate, if you were to ask me how many pop-ups, I don't know, but I would say hundreds.
Yeah.
It was a lot of work because unlike doing a pop-up, if you have jewelry, that's lightweight. You can carry it on the subway. Candles are heavy. And imagine trying to figure out, okay, what inventory do I bring?
Yeah.
And you can't really take the subway. So it's like finding the biggest piece of luggage I have and being the most sort of strategic packer in the way to where the candles don't show up damaged, that the carton still looks good, but just doing an abundance of pop-ups and learning how to sell in person and learning how people respond well, and then making sure that I, as much as I possibly can do, to try to replicate that experience online. And so I love doing lives. Tuesday, I do a series called Tuesdays with Terry that people like, and I talk about the products. I give tips. There's a lot of other candle brands that follow, and so they're asking questions, and it's super cool because they think that I've made it, and I'm like, really? Okay, I'll take it.
You'll take
I'm
it.
like, oh, you should see how many boxes are in this apartment. I'm like, you think this is making it?
Hey, it's all what's out there, right? You're like, I could show you people at Luminary, what both the physical space and now our digital, right? Because we've been now, which is silver linings of the pandemic has allowed us to become digital. It's like what you see on the social media and what's delivered is in the background, like where the sausage is made is very different, right?
This is like my permanent live space, just right here.
Right here, exactly. What kind of talking about that with the Tuesdays with Terry and then other candle companies following you? One of the questions that came in on the chat was, how do you distinguish your products in such a crowded or saturated candle and scent market?
Well, it takes a while. It really, really does. So I first started in 2014, and it really wasn't until I would say 2018 that people started to really kind of know the brand, recognize the brand. And then also just from a design perspective, we were very intentional about how we designed the label and the logo. And, I wanted it to have sort of a 1920s, 1930s Art Deco feel to it. I wanted it to look timeless, but I also didn't want it to look like anything else that was out there on the market. And I had done an extreme amount of market research to know, all right, well, this is that branding and this is that branding. And yes, I'm inspired by this and this, but I want something to really, truly embody the essence of Harlem. And so on the inside of our boxes, we have a vintage print of the nightclubs of Harlem from 1932. And so we got the permission to use that artwork. We've put it also on glass. So I think you just have to figure out what is the most authentic way to tell your brand story and just be consistent. And it's okay if it changes. Like if you're starting out and you're relatively new, if you have a logo that's like, change it. Change it. And it's like Nike. Think about all these huge companies have changed their logos multiple times over the years. But you have to find something that you feel I got it right. But don't let the perfectionism delay you. Because if you need to, And then it's also really great to collaborate with people. I think collaborations are really good. We've done some really fun collaborations with we did a really cool one with Kodak. We're now doing it with a bunch of different movies. So, yeah.
Yes, and the thing is, back to your point around reinvesting, and you just keep doing it. You just keep going, right? You just keep we've heard a lot in the past year, particularly on small businesses that have pivoted, and I don't much like that word. I like the word adapt, right? We're adapting to the environment, right? So if you have to adapt to the environment and that means changing your logo or your packaging, if you have a product, like that's okay. That's not a bad thing. Just like you said, so many huge companies have changed their logos multiple times over the years. People get used to it. And then you forget that there was even another logo.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. And I think it's so important if you want to stand out, especially if you are selling online, you get that part right. Try to invest in a really good graphic designer.
Yeah.
Like, don't try to get your cousin to do it. Oh, my cousin is a good artist. He can figure it out. She can figure it out. Yeah. Invest in someone who knows what they're doing. And like, even for instance, our boxes, this is a label that's on the box. It's not, we didn't go to print on 10,000 of Josephine boxes.
Right.
We have one, and so we've designed the packaging to where each time we launch a new candle, we're just putting a label, and then everything else is the same. So, but I don't know if I would have thought in that way if I wasn't working with a professional who knows packaging and package design and has experience doing it. So don't skimp in that area. That please don't, because it'll always come back to get you.
So really invest in the core aspects of whether it's product packaging, your logo. I mean, that's so important. It's easy as a small business owner, as a startup, an entrepreneur. You're like, I got to save every penny, but that there are ways to save, and then there are where you need to really invest.
Yeah.
Okay, so you are a woman founder. You are a Black woman founder. You haven't raised, and much like me, neither have I. So we share that in common. How hard has it been, or for you as a woman founder, an entrepreneur, but more importantly as a Black woman founder? Have you had different challenges or different struggles? Has that provided you opportunities? What's your view? And we are in the midst of Black History Month, right? So just thinking about sharing the stories of super dynamic Black founders is so important.
I think for my business, only last year, when Black Lives Matter happened and the social justice movement started to get momentum, it's only last year that we've gotten so much recognition and so much sort of media love,
right?
Because Black woman, Black female. But prior to that, we got into Bloomingdale's back in 2018, not because I was a Black woman or a female founder, but because an executive at Bloomingdale's, he and his husband absolutely love the candles, and he felt like, I need to make an intro because these candles need to be in Bloomingdale's. But it had nothing to do with it, just because it was a good product. So I do think that, but prior, there's no one knocking at my door trying to give me money.
Right.
No one. Candles. Like I've actually heard quite negative things about investing, because I have a lot of friends who are in the world of either investors, raised money,
right?
But it wasn't attractive. It's not a technology company. It wasn't attractive to any potential investors, with the exception of maybe a couple, but they just wanted to see more revenue.
Right.
I wasn't there yet. Oh, this is impressive, and you were able to do this with no money. Great. But once you get to selling over $1 million, then let's talk.
Yeah.
And so I had those conversations. So it was just like, okay, just keep reinvesting and keep building and keep growing. And now it's kind of cool because there's people, hey, do you need to raise money? You need some money? No, I need a strategic partner with money.
Talk about that. So when you think about, I think there is also a myth around, I have to raise money in order to build a business, and for some companies that is right. That is the route, and they may not have sales or revenue in order to reinvest in their companies. But when you think about and talk about strategic partner, what does that look like?
So for me, a perfect strategic partner for my business would be someone who has experience in consumer packaged goods, a lot of experience, and knows how to help scale the business in terms of manufacturing, supply chain, logistics, operations. That's where I would, that sort of partner who came in with some money and with that insight and sort of expertise and deep relationships, that would be incredible, because now we're at the point where we are not able to handle the demand.
Yeah. Well, I as you know, that's what I experienced, right? But as I got that first candle, and then I was like so pumped. I'm like, there's no candles; they're all sold out. So I'll buy the mugs and I'll buy the matches and I'll buy everything else until those candles, which is really a great problem to have, because there's demand there, right? Now, how do you solve for that and finding that strategic partner? And hopefully, in our prior conversation, some of the connections that I'm making, I think could help. I think that's oftentimes for those companies that are not raising or don't already immediately have those connections, that becomes a bigger challenge, right? But putting it out there, like you're doing, that you do need that is so important, right? We tend, I think, business owners, women, whoever, I don't ask for help because that's a sign of weak. You're saying, listen, this is where we need to get to, right? That's pretty amazing.
Yeah. It's great. There's, because the potential really, Cate, it's endless. And I'm starting to understand, because once you have a captive audience who really loves your product, believes in what you're doing, loves the fragrances, they want it more. They want, can I have this in a perfume? Can I put this on my skin? And it's just like, yes, no, you can't. But imagine, because the perfumers who create my fragrance oils are the same perfumers who are creating, Rihanna's perfume and Katy Perry's perfume. And so, most of the fragrances actually start out as a fine fragrance, and then they are modified and tweaked for the application of candles. So, yeah. But I mean, even our reed diffuser oil is very specific for reed, and it's all tested and just in terms of performance to make sure that it's going to diffuse in the air properly. So, but it's endless, especially in the world of fragrance. I mean, think about lotion and soap and body care. So yeah, and then there's this whole thing that I dream of every night and wake up thinking about it, which is some stuff in the design world, home decor. So I'm pretty into that. I wish I could show you what I've kind of created in my house, but it's it's
so much more to come for Harlem Candle Company and you. We've put up in a banner, so where to follow and find Harlem Candle. The website is also, is it harlemcandlecompany.com?
Exactly.
harlemcandlecompany.com. My last question is really one bit of advice that you would share about any hardships that you've gone through, whether it's been this year or even from 2014 when you started this incredible company.
My biggest piece of advice is be extremely careful with who you partner. If you have sort of a gut feeling, a negative feeling, then don't do it. If it needs to feel really good, because, there's been a couple of times where I almost partnered with maybe someone here, or brought on someone and maybe gave them a little bit less than they normally would make as a salary, but then giving them a percentage, and it just something about it didn't feel right. And I'm glad I didn't, because it wouldn't have been the right choice. So I would say just follow your true instincts, even though, your cat's making an appearance.
Oh, they love Zoom.
So cute. But yeah, just follow your true instinct. And if you are uneasy about something, I would say pray about it, meditate about it, to where you feel 100%. You should feel 100% when you make such big decisions in terms of partnerships and who you're going to take money from or give money to and give equity to. So
that is absolutely the ticket there. So go with your gut. Well, Terry, thank you. We know that when things get a little bit, even though Luminary is open, but once people start coming out more, we are going to have that Harlem Candle pop up at Luminary. So very excited about that, and so excited to see what else you're doing in the future. We will watch out for April. And thank you for joining us today. This was incredible. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Amazing. We'll see you soon, Terry.
Bye.
Bye. And coming up next, we have back-to-back episodes of Goaldigger today. We are going to bring Precious Williams, who is right up here. And let me throw up a new Precious. I just love it. So I can't even contain my excitement because number one, Precious is a member at Luminary and has been a member for quite some time. And the emotion that I feel since I met Precious the day you walked into our space to where you are today, and everything in between is sort of overwhelming. And it's so good to have you.
It's so good to be here.
So, Precious, I cannot even begin to tell any of your story because it is remarkable. So give us a little bit of a glimpse into who Precious is and what led you to where you are.
Well, I'm a full-figure diva on a mission to take over the business world. That's one aspect of me. And I am the killer pitch master. And I just create the most killer elevator pitches, media pitches, investor pitches, speaker pitches, and interview pitches. And I literally train corporate executives, successful speakers, and entrepreneurs how to be bad bitches with power pitches. And I know some people feel like, oh, I can't believe you said that. I said it. And I'm unapologetic. And if it's not for you, that's fine too. One of the things that I've learned on this journey as a 42-year-old woman, through all the things that I've been through homelessness, severe alcohol addiction, through being rejected, dismissed, said that I'm too much, that I need to wait my turn, I need to do this and that. It's just that doesn't apply to me. I'm a rule breaker, I'm a trailblazer, and I'm a visionary. And in that sense, like I will go through the cuts, the bumps, and the bruises to make it easier for other women. As a great Ty Goodwin always says, until you step into your purpose, another woman can't step into hers. Yeah. And so that's what I feel as a trailblazer and as a visionary, that I will usher in. I help usher in the next generation of women who are ready to step out of the box that they've been in and actually fly.
So someone was asking me the other day, they saw, well, number one, we're going to talk about the MasterCard campaign, but someone was asking me the other day, they had seen your video we had posted on Luminary about your journey. And they said, so how did she get to be doing this? Like, how did she get to start like telling people how they should pitch? So how did you get there?
It's such a funny story. I did it out of necessity. It wasn't that I've been taught. And so, I'm a former attorney in the great state of New York. I was a New York City based attorney, hated it, and just couldn't think of doing it for 40 years. I was like, yeah, no, this right here, the same rope cases. Yeah, no, that's not gonna be me. And I wound up leaving my ex-fiance and, put a little ad on a dating website, which I don't want to put out there because it'll make me look bad, even though it was 10, 11 years ago. Okay, it was crazy, whatever. And I met a very famous Hollywood actor, but I was 327 pounds. And the person you see today is not who I used to be. And I remember meeting him and, just thinking, oh, it's a cute little date. It's cute. It's a bop. Well, we had a relationship. And at some point, maybe we would get intimate. Maybe we wouldn't, but I wanted to be ready. And when I went out looking for lingerie, I couldn't find anything. Like I was 327 pounds, was a size 28. So if you think you can go to Victoria's Secret and find something, maybe some makeup, maybe some spray, but you're not gonna find nothing in your size. And so I went to all of the stores I can think of, Agent Provocateur, La Perle. I want to start high and then go down low, and couldn't find anything, right? And it wasn't my ability. It wasn't based on my ability to pay. It's because people didn't think that women my size actually mattered. And so I wanted to start Curvy Girls Lingerie. And, my friends and, your support network is like, yeah, you don't know how to draw. You don't know how to sew. What makes you think this is going to work? I don't know. God put it in my brain. So I'm going to go with it. And so I started with negative $400 in my bank account because I quit every associate position I had and just went for it. And I went to an event that I could not afford. It was $300. It was the Crane Small Business Awards. Yeah. Walked in with my greatest Calvin Klein dress, 3 pairs of shapewear, got to suck it all in, got to be right. Walked with your producers of MSNBC and just pitched. And the funny thing is, I didn't know how. I just knew that this is my shot. Feet fail me not. This may be the only opportunity that I got. And I did it, and they laughed in my face, and I felt bad. And then they were like, no, you basically, I misread the cues. They were like, you're the first person to come up to us and pitch tonight. You did it with confidence, brought me the host of the show, JJ Ramberg. She got an award, so they brought me her booking producer, and I pitched. Yeah, Your Business with JJ Ramberg. And she said, you could be on her booking producers told me after I pitched, you could be on the show. And I don't think there were tears in my eyes, but I had my glasses on. And I just remember everybody said it wouldn't work. I was too fat, too black, no Ivy League degree. I'd never get on television. And here the opportunity presented itself. So when I went to Rockefeller Center in a cream-colored Cadillac Escalade that they sent for me, I just pitched, and 54 seconds later, it was over. And I walked away with $500,000. And then they told me, enter pitch competitions. You really are that good. And so out of 14 tries, I was a 13-time champion. And, I learned so much along the way. I mean, it's an incredible story, but it's a true story. It's true. And so, no, I didn't have the money to get started, but I made it happen. And when they say necessity is the mother of invention, it's true. And so being a 13-time champion, helping people who were preparing for Shark Tank and just getting them there. And then, doing Shark Tank and all of these amazing shows around the world, movies, documentaries. When I started, I just needed a couple of coins to start my business. I didn't think it would take off to the way it did.
So I am a Shark Tank addict because I'm a CNBC addict in general.
Yes.
So, because I'm a banker, right, in my former life, and I always will be one. But I love it, and so at night when I get home, I'll turn it on, and Shark Tank runs all the time, and it's a lot of episodes, right? And I'm always wondering, how do they get ready? It's a very short time. So you teach, you coach, you yourself pitch. You have a book and another one coming out.
Girl, I got 2 books right now. My third comes out April 13th.
Third. Yes.
Yes, it's my third in this journey. But no, Bad Bitches and Power Pitches for women entrepreneurs and speakers only. And then the accompanying workbook. You know how you be trying to figure it out, and the accompanying workbook that teaches you how to actually create the pitches that match your personality, your brand.
And so let's talk a little bit about it. So we have those at Luminary, right? And we need more, right? We need some more. Right. But what is when you meet so many of these entrepreneurs and founders, is there one sort of telltale mistake that they make before they pitch?
Yes. Number one is they lack the confidence to be able to do it. And number 2, they don't really answer the question of, why should I hire you? Why should I work with you? Why should I invest in you? So many of us are great technicians. We know our craft well. But how do you articulate that to someone who doesn't quite understand what makes you different from that person? Or if you're a graphic designer, you're a service-based professional. It's not just having your secret sauce, but being able to demonstrate it, right? So when I was in pitch competitions, I never had the ability to have my lingerie on stage. I never had the ability to do that. So I had to paint a picture in the audience's mind of where I wanted them to go. And so being able to do that with no lingerie, just coming up there and being cute and doing my thing and showcasing the difference between me and people who start off with, hi, I'm Precious Williams. I'm the CEO of Perfect Pitches by Precious. And no one cares. Nobody cares about it. No one. But when you come out and you say, ladies, raise your hands if you want to be a bad bitch with the power pitch. Yes, fellas, raise your hands if you want to be a bad man with a master pitching plan. Well, you've come to the right place. My name is Precious Williams, and I am the proud founder and CEO of Perfect Pitches by Precious, where I literally teach the art and the science of the killer elevator pitch, media pitch, investor pitch, speaker pitch, and interview pitch. And I will help you slay all competition. You don't have to believe me, but I am a 13-time national elevator pitch champion who has successfully appeared with 5 of her clients on Shark Tank, CNN, Wall Street Journal, you name it, I've done it. And I've also written the book on pitching, Bad Bitches and Power Pitches for women entrepreneurs and speakers only, Billboard and Times Square. So if you've already seen the rest, now check out the best. My name is Precious Williams, proud founder and CEO of Perfect Pitches by Precious. Thank you.
Mic drop.
Boom!
Boom is right. The energy, Precious, the authenticity, the truth that shows your personality. That's so much of just getting that next opportunity.
Mm-hmm. And when you don't have the confidence, one of the things that happens is it shows up, right? I did an expert roundtable with Ladies Who Leverage last night. And one of the women had asked me, you get so animated and everything. And I have to believe in myself in order to make you believe in me.
Yeah.
So whether you give me the money or not, I'm still the hashtag killer pitch master. I've created my own lane. When you look up someone, you're going to find me there. And so I'm very assured of who I am. Now, is my makeup always going to be perfect? Nope. Am I going to have 6-pack abs? Nope. If that all mattered, maybe. but I want women to celebrate their uniqueness, their authenticity, and their transparency. I have no problem telling people after I've pitched and everything, like I came from nothing to get here. And it's a real story. It's not a fake story. It's not, just a simple rags to riches. It's rock bottom multiple times to get to where I am today. So if you're struggling right now, that's a part of the process. No one starts off being the number one podcast, the number one business, the number one. No one starts off that way. You make mistakes and you keep moving forward. And there will always be your haters. And haters are supposed to be your motivators. Because if they're hating on you, you must be doing something with your life.
Exactly. I remember, and this is, I think, the last Whisper Network dinner we did before the pandemic, when we could still do in-person dinners at the time you were there. And we had about 15 women around the room, all different backgrounds, industries, like different. And you told your story, right? Because it's so important. Everybody knows where people come from. And there were tears, right? Of course, because it's a remarkable story of overcoming adversity. But the tears were actually, I think, for most people, as they are when I listen to you every time, I have goosebumps. Is this tears of joy and celebration for how far you've come and everything you've accomplished and have yet to, but are looking forward. Part of that, and this is a year ago, but is this incredible opportunity you have with MasterCard. So can you tell us about it?
I'm so happy. I don't know if you saw the Black History Month one. When I saw that, I said, "Oh, it's about to be a problem for Women's History Month because we coming through." To get nominated by some pretty high people, and then to go through the process and be selected to come to you and say, "MasterCard priceless. Can we shoot at the luminary, please? Like, I want to look good for the peeps." And you were like, "Yeah, we're going to do that." And just to know, I went from feeling so worthless at one point to literally being in priceless, pathways to priceless. And that is a true journey. You all know that 3 or 4 years ago, I was homeless. And I'm sitting in a MasterCard commercial just like that. And no, it wasn't easy. No, it wasn't like, overnight. But that's what happens with consistency. Like, you're going to come and get taught by me. You're going to get a great training. But you also know that I didn't come with connections. I built that along the way. And every brick thrown my way, I used it to build the empire. And so for MasterCard, when we were shooting, it was this, there were just moments I sat there like, especially when the director was like, "You're really good on camera. Like, you are outstanding."
Yeah, you need your own show.
I said, "When you've been preparing for this since you were 16, this ain't nothing. This is what I was always preparing for, this moment." And having one of my clients be there with me and just, she's saying to them, "Oh, you thought I was good. You haven't seen the best." And for me to walk in and they were like, "Oh, she is." I was like, "Ain't no doubt about it. I'm not."
Yeah.
I can flex on you. It's no doubt. And to, see you first and just, hug you, just like, "Thank you." That is why I'm a member of the Luminary. And that's why it's important, whoever you speak to, put yourself out there. When we first met, did I know that was coming? No, but I wanted you to know, thank you. I'm honored to have received the Illumination grant. I am honored that, I'm here with all of these illustrious women and I'm right here with them. And then a year later, here we are, and the director said, "This is a nice place." I said, "Yeah, you got to step up your game when you step up your game, And so I can't wait for it to air. I can't wait for people to truly understand that the Luminary is not just some place. It's not just some space. It's digital, but it's also a supportive environment. I could tell you, "Girl, I'm about to do this. What you think?" You'll say something to me. "You are Sarabi. This is beautiful." And people don't have that everywhere they go. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri. I don't know. There's no Luminary in St. Louis. So for to be in New York and for you to be able to talk to the MasterCard higher ups in support of me, child, we can't do nothing better. We can't. Mo better makes it mo better.
No, it's so funny. So what, for anyone, and there are so many people listening, when Precious reached out and said, "I got this opportunity, can I film? I'd love to film at Luminary." I was like, No brainer. Absolutely. We want to support Precious, and we wanted to support you in everything that you're doing. But at the same time, I know, coming from the world that I lived in for 20 years in banking, I know a lot of people at MasterCard, and MasterCard's actually a corporate partner of ours. Mm-hmm. As soon as I get this email from Precious, I'm like, I've got to tell everybody I know at MasterCard. Everybody needs to know, not just that one group that's running the Pathways to Priceless. And it was every single one of those executives responded immediately. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. Oh my gosh, she's amazing. And they're all waiting for the commercial to come out, as are we. And I just think it's such, it's one example of what you've been able to accomplish in the last couple of years through hard work, perseverance, resiliency, but also, and I think you alluded to it, it's really tapping into the people that you know and asking for help and saying, this is what I'm looking for. Or, hey, Cate, and we've done this on many occasions, I just got nominated for XYZ. Can you put in a letter of recommendation? Or, hey, I'm going to be on this speaking opportunity. Can you promote it? Right? You do a great job of putting yourself out there. That comes back to your confidence, but where did that come from?
You know what? Actually, it really comes from just my journey, right? So, when you enter pitch competitions, you want to win the money. And then you start to see that there are other people in the room who can truly make a difference and can introduce you to other people. And so when I wrote my book, Pitching for Profit, the Bad Bitches Playbook to Convert Conversations into Currency, this is what we talk about. Like, how do you build up your visibility and how do you just ask? The worst that people can say is no. But if you're going to ask, what do you need to have in your arsenal to make it easy for that person? Right? So I could have my speaker one, I could have my resume, I could have my media kit, I could have all of this. I can have a great conversation with you. I can share with you what it is that I do, how I can be supportive of you and everything like that. Have those things in your arsenal already because you'll make it easier. Also, what does your social media look like? If they're gonna make a warm intro and you looking kind of cray-cray, before you start making those ads. So I need people to have a strategy. And all of that came from my journey. When it used to be just about making the money from pitch competition to what are the relationships I want to have out of the people in this room? To not only see me as a killer pitch master, but as a connector and also someone that they can count on if they need me for something else. And so when I asked you, would you be willing to write a recommendation for me? In the email, I put everything in the attachment so that it would make it so easy for you. And you're not like, no, I got it for you. You can look at things like that. And then when you realize the hashtag relationships matter with a heart behind it, relationships matter. Because that will ultimately help you monetize your network. That will help you to get affiliates, referrals. It will help you be nominated when you haven't even asked people. Shout out to Tisha Hammond, small business cheerleader. And I'm getting things that I never got before. And in addition to that, honestly, Cate, last year and this year was the first time that I received gifts from my clients. That may sound like nothing to people, but it's a big deal to me. Yeah. I don't ask for anything. I'm thankful that you're my client. And they'll send handmade stuff in the mail or just things. Hey, your birthday, just want to shout out. I'm thankful because we already work together. This is just a bonus, which means I'm truly in my zone of genius. Right. I don't ask for these things. They're coming now.
Yeah, and you've really created relationships. It's not transactions, right?
No, because people think you got to do this to get that. And it's like, take it out of that. That could be that business world stuff, but it's like, listen, show yourself to be the person that you are. Can you be counted on? Can you be, because I may not have money. I may not have anything. I'm going to ask you. And not only will I feel indebted, I don't feel obligated. I feel indebted because I was so thankful. I'm thankful and appreciative. And with my appreciation, you're going to get the best that I got. Come, you call on me, I got you.
When we first met, Precious, I remember so distinctly when first time you came into the space and you said, I'm an Illumination Grant winner. And for those of you that are watching, that's one of our scholarship programs where we give a year membership. And then we ask that everybody that receives that pays it forward in some way, right? Whether that's helping others, mentoring others, eventually when you can financially, whatever reason, join. Precious, you immediately joined, right? As soon as you could after that illumination.
No, I was about that life.
But you said to me, Cate, I'm Precious. I'm going to make the most of this every single day. And I have to say, you both digitally and in the space, and when now you're facilitating programs for us, you make the most of everything you do. It's remarkable. You're remarkable.
Well, you have to thank my grandmother, Precious Dolores Williams. We call her Big Precious. She's been deceased 21 years. And when I look back over my life, and this is why I get emotional every day, because I remember walking into that house, feeling unloved, broken, and everything. And my grandmother just look at me in the eye and say, "You are loved. Welcome. Welcome home." She showed me to my room. I was like, "Oh, I got a room." And she cooked every day for me. She drew my bath water, twinkled my toes. It was either her or my granddaddy. They would be like, "Wake up, Queen Bee. Your bath water is drawn." They do this in the hood for real? Really? And then we would sit at the kitchen table. They would smoke their cigarettes and eat and just listen to me. What's a 15-year-old talking about to 60-year-olds? Oh, they ate it up. And then my grandmother drove me to school, and she would always say, "The way you speak, you command." She said, "Oprah's gonna know your name." She made me do affirmations. And just looking back, like, she saw this. She had an 8th grade education, 7 kids. My grandfather did everything he could to make sure that, when I needed that $5, he had it. You know what I mean? I have to give back. I'm not only obligated to, I must, because I respect the gangster of grandparents taking in a grandchild who was hard, cold-blooded, and they just melted my little heart out. And I was like, what my grandparents said, I was only away from them 3 hours in 3.5 years. 3 hours!
Wow.
They only left me alone for 3 hours in the house by myself. I was scared. I ain't gonna lie. Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. It was rough life. But what I want to say is, it's that kind of love and support that we need. And that's what the luminary offers. And I always say, like, you don't go into a space and not speak to the host. You don't go into a space and not make your presence known. I loved being an illumination grant winner. Some people are like, "I don't want people to know." That's you. I want people to know. Because as I shine and go higher and higher, I'm going to remember that without that grant, I probably wouldn't be where I am today, because you've placed me in places. It's like what Joe Osteen says, God will take you places you've never dreamed of. What? MasterCard? What? And now I'm working with a network on a dual hosted talk show. What? Now on my 3rd book, that I wrote, those first 2 in the Lumen. Think about that. Yeah. I didn't know all of that was possible. But that's the environment that we're in. And so the luminary is all that and then some. Trust and believe.
Well, I'm sorry, but you are all that and then some.
Well,
it's so much about how much you give and then also that you receive. And I love that you are always thinking of others and how to support others and drive behavior and give back. At times also, Precious, when you weren't able to give a lot back because you were going through so much hardship, but you kept going and you keep going. It's not only motivating and inspiring, it's I'm in awe, right? And I think anyone that has met you, whether it's been on one of our digital events or in the space, especially my team, and I speak on behalf of my team, that, the energy when you walk into the space or you join a digital event or one of our Zooms, it's like, boom, like it is off the charts. And it's really just such a testament to you, to your grandparents, and who gave you this opportunity to nurture you. I want to just switch gears for a minute. And I'm getting emotional because there's so many comments in the chat about you. I remember meeting you for the first time. You're amazing. Wow. You're a legend. As someone who's lucky to be
my client team, we always say legend.
It's amazing. But you also, you have had so much stacked against you, and you've persevered and you're resilient. You are also, and we are in Black History Month. You talked a little bit about it, and we're headed into Women's History Month.
Right.
You are a Black woman that is a founder that's building your business. I can't imagine it as a white woman, but how hard has that been for you to sort of say, here I am, world, listen to me? Because we had an event last night with 4 women in corporate America that said, I'm constantly having to kind of switch gears. I'm code switching. I'm having to be someone else in front of someone else because of my Blackness. Have you had to do that?
Well, yes, because remember, I was a former attorney, and I often didn't feel like I was included in conversations. And I remember reading Sheryl Sandberg's book, Lean In, and it didn't really apply to me because you know what? The sisters that I roll with, we at the table. We not in the background. We not like, and that causes certain people to have a certain way of looking at us. And I'm like, listen, I could be at this table or I can create my own. It's just that serious to me. And the truth is I belong everywhere that I am. And when I started off, I had straight hair and everything. Now, y'all know I changed my wig like I changed my underwear. It's
I love it.
When I speak at the Microsofts, the LinkedIn's, the Googles, the Federal Reserve banks, they will tell you I am just as I am here. And I think it's because I operate in my difference. I don't know what it's like to work in corporate America today. I come in, I train, I coach, I teach, I consult, but I'm very clear from the beginning, you're dealing with me. There is no front person. You can check me out everywhere. I've been everywhere. And so when I wrote the book, Bad Bitches and Power Pitches, no one's going to buy that book. Corporate America. Who didn't buy the book?
Right.
Who didn't? So at a certain point, I'm not going to tell you it's easy. But what I will tell you is somebody has to defy. Somebody has to be willing to go out there and show that it can be done and stand in it. I will get the bumps and the bruises. Yes, I will. And I wear my Blacklist like a badge of honor because to be Black, you will face challenges. And like a lot of us, we just overcome.
Yep.
And we make the impossible look easy. And so what I want to encourage women to do, if you're able to, is be your true self, because I'm going to continue to be me. I'm 42. When I try to be fake and like everybody else, I got pushed to the wayside like I'm the help and the staff. I am not the help nor the staff. I am your colleague. And in some ways I can be superior. And that's why I'm the killer pitch master. I'm not like anyone else. It has been difficult, but we rise above. We rise, we thrive, and we keep it moving, and we encourage others with our truth. People tell me, don't ever talk about my past. How can I not? Because a lot of us are selling this tea about we were perfect coming up and we had all the connections. That wasn't my story, and so they need to lie about it.
And that's
other people.
It's probably not most people's stories. They just don't want to own into that sort of authenticity. And you know, to your point about leaning in, you found a way to lean in a different way, a way that will work for you and not something that's talked at you that this is going to work for everybody. And I love that. I love everything about you. For people that don't know you, and we have had so many comments in the chat, I just love watching it. They can follow you at Perfect Pitch P. Is that right?
On Instagram, I'm Perfect Pitches P.
Perfect Pitches P on
yes.
Okay, Perfect Pitches.
Now, if you're on Twitter or Facebook, it's Perfect Pitch P. But on Instagram, I'm Perfect Pitches P.
Perfect pitches, because that's what you do. You're not down with one pitch. You are doing thousands. And if somebody would like to hire you, meaning we're getting you paid.
I am hired. I do not help. I am hired.
Exactly. We're done doing shit for free.
Word.
If someone wants to find you to hire you to come and speak, because we've had a couple of those in the chat as well, is that where they should find you on your Instagram?
Yes, the best place is to go to my website, www.perfectpitchesbyprecious.com. www.precious.com. Tina, put it in the comments so people can get it. Yeah, I know you doing
I'm
it.
going to put it right here.
Okay. And also
Perfect.
www.perfectpitchesbyprecious.com. And they can go there. They go to the work with me page, or they can schedule time on my schedule for us to talk about the opportunity. And it'll come right back to me. So that's absolutely great. You can also check out my books, my online and digital courses and stuff like that, my one-on-ones. And like I said, I'm so delighted to be here. This is Goaldigger. This is what we do. We dig up them goals and we keep it pushing.
And we can't wait. There's a request in the chat to have
What's the request?
A virtual viewing party for luminaries of your commercial. So I think we have to do that, right?
I would love that. I would love that.
We will do that.
From lips to Cate's ears. Cate and the luminaries' ears.
Precious, you are wonderful. You are just there are so many words to describe you, and then not many, because you are one of a kind. And we are at Luminary, but certainly me. I'm so lucky to have had you come into our lives and our community, and cannot wait to watch what else you do. And for those founders out there that are looking for pitch help, hire Precious. Like, this is a 30-minute commercial of why you should.
And remember, I do communication skills, internal and external communications. And, when it comes to pitching and communications, nobody does it better than the GOAT.
Nobody does it better. I will second that. Precious, thank you so much for being. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody. Tune in next week. We've got great guests. And as I've agreed, and there's a bunch more requests, we will do a virtual viewing party. And stay tuned on the Be a Luminary social, because as soon as that commercial is out, I promise you, we will be putting up the MasterCard commercial with Precious. And so congratulations to that. And I will see you soon. Bye, everyone. Stay safe, stay healthy, and please wear a mask, and have a great weekend. Take care, everybody.